How's it going, everyone? Welcome to this week's Q&A. So like any other week, if you want a chance of one of your questions being answered in next week's video, make sure you drop a comment down below with your question and I'll try to answer it either in next week's video or in the comment itself. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get started with the first question of the week. And it is, why is my current car more or harder to press the brake pedal versus my older cars or my other cars I've had in the past after sitting a long time overnight. So I think this person had a ridgeline, if I recall correctly, and so I went ahead and confirmed with a couple of ridgelines that we had in the lot that have been sitting, either their preps or anything like that, something new or a customer car that's been there overnight, and they all felt regular to me. They felt fine to me. So if this person is feeling something of that nature, then it's very possible it just feels different versus their other cars, or something is actually going on with their car. So first thing I would assume is maybe the check valve is not holding correctly. I believe that was one of his questions, if the check valves were different from other Hondas, and it's very possible. Although I think they probably use the same one, or you have something going on with the brake booster. So some of these newer cars have an electronic brake booster. Although on the Ridgeline, it's still the vacuum-based brake booster, like many older cars that we're accustomed to. So if you truly feel like something is going on, then I would definitely advise you taking it to your local dealer and have them check it out. Now, if the car sits for X amount of times, an extended period of time, it's very possible slowly it could bleed out, little by little, causing a more than excessive brake pedal. Although if it's overnight, it should be able to hold vacuum for at least the first pump or two without feeling super hard. So with that being said, hopefully that answers the question for you. So the next question is, what are my thoughts on tuning an Accord 2.0 turbo completely stock? And this will be for any car, especially on a turbo vehicle. Your flash, even if it's a base map offered by, in this instance, let's use K-Tuner as an example. That's going to be your best bang for the buck. And the only thing I would recommend, if you're not already using 93 and you're using 87, which in my opinion is a bad idea, especially on a turbo vehicle, make sure you switch over to 91 or 93 to take the most advantage of that flash. And if custom tune is in your budget, then I would recommend that as well. The only modification I would probably recommend besides that is an intercooler, upgraded intercooler. Sometimes, it may offer you a couple more horsepower, but the real job of the intercooler is to make sure that the temperatures stay consistent pull after pull after pull. So that would be my number two choice, or at the same time of doing it, just to make sure the car is running as efficiently as possible. So like I said, best bang for the buck is going to be a tune or a flash. Obviously custom tune is going to be even better, but if you buy a K-Tuner, it's going to be definitely your best bang for the buck without getting crazy, obviously, with turbos and stuff like that. But you're going to notice an immediate gain, and the car is going to feel a whole lot better versus than it did from factory. So hopefully that answers the question for you. All right, so this next question is, you just purchased a vehicle with 100,000 miles or more, and you don't know the service history of the transmission. Sometimes you can find this in your Carfax report, or sometimes the owner or the previous dealer will have invoices or some sort of history for that vehicle maintenance. Now, most of these newer cars, not just Honda and Acura, already don't have dipsticks, with the exception of the 6 AT, which is already getting tossed by Honda and getting replaced with the 10-speed transmissions in most applications. So going forward, we're not going to be seeing dipsticks anymore. So it's very hard to tell if the vehicle has been properly maintained or not in that aspect. So if the vehicle is driving fine, no jolts, no jerking, no harsh engagements, no slipping or anything of that nature, I would say go ahead and do the transmission service. If you have any things I just listed prior to that, harsh engagement, slipping, etc., then I would proceed with caution. You could, shock the transmission. And, sometimes when this happens and people come in just requesting a transmission service, first thing I do, no service history there as I go test drive it. If it's feeling fishy in any sort of way to me, like I said, shifting weird or hard or inconsistent or whatever case may be, I make sure I speak to the customer personally and I write it on the RO that I advise against it because once again, it could be on its last legs and putting in fresh fluid could only do worse at that time. So most of these transmissions have been better versus, in the early 2000s, late 90s, we had a ton of issues with these transmissions. And I mean, we had stacks of transmissions, like 20 in the shop at a time. You think it's bad now? You guys have no idea. When I started with Honda, it was absolutely bonkers. The amount of transmissions we were doing a day, not a week, a day. So yeah, it's been a lot better since that. So that's a good positive thing, but again, if everything's shifting fine, I will go ahead and do it. And like this, you know where you stand and you have a starting point going forward for your maintenance of the transmission. So hopefully that answers the question for you. All right, so this next question is, what fuse can this person pull to prevent his vehicle from being driven away by a thief? So this person was inquiring that he's going to be leaving his vehicle in the airport. He's going on a trip and obviously wants to make sure his vehicle is there when he gets back. So I'm not sure where this person is located from, but over here in a New York City area and the surrounding areas, there's a lot of car theft. And a lot of the bigger cities, this is a common trend. So obviously, if he's asking this, he's probably concerned with this. So a couple fuses you could pull. I would do either the coil fuse, or you could do injector fuse, or the fuel pump fuse from under the hood. And I'm going to say under the hood because if somebody is trying to steal your car doesn't start, they're probably going to walk away. They're not going to be bothered with anything like that. Although in the event they try to attempt to do something, they're going to pop the hood and it's going to be kind of an eyesore, right? Somebody will probably pick up on it. Whether or not that person, says anything to that individual, it's going to be more evident that something's going on versus something under the dash. So very, very easy to pull. I'm not going to get into specifics of the car or the fuse locations. You're going to have to kind of do some research on your own and just Google your car fuse box location, fuse box identification, and you should be able to pinpoint that very easily. And now once you pull that fuse, the car won't start. And then when you get back to the vehicle from your trip or whatever, you can just pop that fuse back in and you will be on your way. Obviously, you want to have some other measures, some other preventative measures to prevent a thief from taking your car, especially if you're leaving it in a location like that. Over time, then, people pick up on your patterns or they know what to look for. These thieves aren't, they aren't fools. They're not very bright, but they are bright when it comes to things like that. So, just look under the hood, anything of that nature, fuel injectors or a fuel pump or, ignition coil that will immediately keep the car from turning over and driving at least very far. So with that being said, hopefully that answers the question for you. So the next question is about snow chain usage in 2019, I believe, Pilot or, any of the Pilot's previous generation, and probably this can translate into the new generation as well. So this person is asking if snow chains are okay, both front wheels and rear wheels, being that the Honda systems are front wheel drive biased and driven by the front wheels in most scenarios, at times transferring some power to the wheel when needed to the rear wheels. So they're saying that Honda recommends in the owner's manual to just put the chains on the front wheels. I'm assuming this person to be asking this question lives in an area where it snows a lot. So here in my area, we just got an inch of snow yesterday. We're not going to be driving around with a snow chain. So I don't have much information on this. If anybody in the comment section has some information on this, if you live in an area where you do use snow chains, then make sure you do chime in. They're saying just to use snow chains in the front. I think it's okay to use the front and the rear. The reason I'm probably saying that is because it is primarily front wheel drive bias, so it's going to use the chains to pull itself out of anywhere. Although Honda's all-drive system does a great job of setting power to whatever wheel it does need. Now, chains are to be used at very low speeds in most cases, so I would recommend sticking to what Honda's recommending at this point and just putting them in the front. The front's going to do most of the driving, most of the turning, so you don't want to have any issues with that. You could put them in the back. I think personally it would be okay. But obviously that's up to you. I would listen to Honda's recommendations in this case and maybe do some digging on your own and see if there's any other information available out there for this. So hopefully that answers the question for you. All right, so the last but not least question of the week, and it is what is going on with Honda and all these recalls. So Honda had a numerous amount of recalls last year, a lot of them being silly, like software updates, some of them being a lot more severe, like fuel pumps failing, incorrect rod bearing clearances causing catastrophic engine damage, steering rack failures and checks, and short block checks. So a lot of big recalls as well. And obviously, I think personally, I'm a Honda fanatic. I'm a Honda fanboy. I'm always going to buy Honda product, at least for the foreseeable future. I have two of my own, and everybody in my family owns Hondas or Acuras, which is a Honda product. So obviously, I think there is some sort of a quality control issue going on as of late. And I do, admire Honda for, biting the bullet essentially, and just addressing these issues before they become a bigger issue. A lot of them, it is very, very low numbers that are failing, but they're doing the due diligence and having these brought in so we can do our checks and replace if needed. For example, the seatbelts on the Accords and the HRVs, I believe it's less than 1% failure. Yeah, we're doing a whole bunch of checks on them. So obviously, Honda's just being extra precautious, being that it is a seatbelt in the event of an accident could obviously be catastrophic and or deadly. So again, I think Honda had some quality control issues. I'm not sure if the issue we had from 2019, the pandemic, something happened there. And, in Japan, there was a whole bunch of tsunamis and earthquakes and stuff that maybe played a role in this as well. And some of the manufacturing or some of the quality control issues or whatever the case may be. But it is good that Honda is addressing them. Hopefully, 2024 turns out to be a ton better as far as the recalls go. Obviously, we're going to be doing a ton of recalls that are already out from late 2023. The last quarter of 2023, Honda really had probably 3 or 4 huge ones that will carry over into the new year. People keep asking me about the rod bearing issues, and we don't have any information available as of yet. The minute we do, I'll post a video like I've been doing on the current recalls coming out. And I did make a video on that, but there is no further details at this point. Maybe you guys, when you see this video, something will be already available. But as of today, when I'm recording, there is nothing available. So hopefully Honda, gets their act together. Again, I'm going to continue to work on them. I'm going to continue to buy them. I want to believe in their products. So I think it's just a rough time that Honda's going through. And hopefully they could correct it, and we could all be happier and move on and just drive a better quality product. So with that being said, I'll catch everyone on the next one.